I never grew up with educators that look like myself. So, bro,
100.
I feel like honestly, like we are that new wave that make being wise, being smart, being educated cool, right?
Absolutely.
Wisdom is a powerful tool, but oftentimes we might neglect it because of who it's coming from. You feel me? But if we can chop it up with a young buck and really implant a seed, man, like it's more than just education at that point. You know what I'm saying?
What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Let's Grow Together podcast where diverse communities, individuals come to serve, connect, and grow in areas that they're most passionate about. Marcus, man, check in with us on this Monday.
What's going on? Good afternoon, man. Yeah, and traditionally we do it on Tuesday, man. That's Monday. And as everybody knows, there's some there's some uphill battles that come on Monday, but know that we are pushing through, man. Aside from that, had a phenomenal weekend, man. We had a community day at one of our local church partners, tug of war, football, car show, video game truck, man. Nothing but good, jubilant energy, man. So aside from the what comes on Monday, man, feeling very vibrant, pushing through, man. How about yourself? What's new? What's new with you, James?
Man, bro, I love when we check in, man, because you be having so much stuff going on in the community that every time we tap in, it's like, man, I just had another event, man. We did this, we did that with the youth, man. So I'm loving that. I'm loving that energy you coming with, man. But man, today it's kind of crazy, bro. Chicago weather is insane. Like today is literally supposed to snow, but then this weekend is supposed to be in the 70s, bro. Like literally in a 4 day, well, week span, bro. It's gonna go from 40 degrees to 70. So that's crazy. So that's why I really got this hoodie on back in the office because it's a little chilly. But man, man, weekend was good, bro. Last Friday, the guys we had like a team building slash writing party for something that we working on. We got a new project that we working on. So, bro, we went to one of the fancier hotels downtown Chicago. We was on like the 33rd floor, had a couple suites. And we really just kind of, chopped it up about what we're looking to execute on, and then just really laying the groundwork for some of the stuff that we're trying to do. And then also, when the guys get together, we gotta, talk stuff and kick it a little bit. So it was a little bit of that, man. We went and got some dope food downtown Chicago. So it was really just a vibe. And then and then I'm not going to go too much in detail on this because I would rather have my business partner on the call to talk about this in its entirety. But man, had a very crazy situation with the rental property, bro, where, to make a very long story short, somebody somehow got into the property and we had to get the police involved to try to get him out, and we didn't get him out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's a whole deal. And it goes back to those laws,
Mm.
that you had sent me, where it was like the police really can't do too much because it's more of a tenant landlord type of situation, but they're not even tenants, bro. We could talk a little bit offline, but I'm not
Mm.
gonna get too much into that. And then,
Hey, we need to have us a lawyer up here to dive into that next. That's something to think
bro,
about.
bro, like what's crazy, bro? Like I didn't realize how many people we had in our network. Like Cody, bro, he knows judges, he knows sheriffs. His girlfriend his wife is a police officer. Her dad is a police officer. So, bro, like my mentor, we're gonna have him on at some point. He works at a state farm agency. He owns property, so he has a real estate attorney that he was talking to about a similar situation. So, bro, we just on the phone talking to different people about how could we go about this situation. But it's crazy, bro. Like it's literally one of those stories that you have a whole podcast about because you wouldn't believe it unless you were there type vibe, bro. Like it's like that. But man,
I know the film.
lastly, bro, Saturday was Sweetest Day. I typically don't celebrate those little hallmark holidays, but any day that a king could get celebrated by his woman, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we doing the celebrating. At least in my household, I'm doing a lot more celebrating on my girl than she does in me. It's not anything like that, but that's just typically how it goes, man. But I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
Definitely, definitely. It's not just you. It's all of us, bro. So we right there with you, man. But again, squad, man, we have a phenomenal guest on, man, and I'm excited to introduce y'all to my dog. He's actually a part of the Roots Mentoring Organization. He's the VP of the executive team, and this has a phenomenal story, which is very inspiring and motivating. So really, without further ado, I want to introduce y'all to my brother, Mr. Casey. Casey, say what's good to the people for us.
Good people, good vibes, good energy. How y'all doing? What's going on this good Monday?
Yes, sir, man. But Casey, tell the people, just give them a little synopsis, a little bit of background about yourself before we hop into it, bro.
I'm just a brother, just hopping out of a situation, like most young black men find themselves in, just striving to make impact, getting my feet wet a little bit. Just got a message, just trying to be impactful as much as possible. Been through some things just like most of our kids have, just like me, you, I, and every other black face that we see, just been through some things, just striving to give back in any way possible.
Respect. So, man, one thing I just want to go ahead and start off with, man, just in knowing you, I know that Malcolm X has a huge, just monumental impact, as you see, man, right? You told the people off jump, right? So I would just love for you to give us just a little bit of insight, man. What did Malcolm do for you? And dive into your situation when you really met Malcolm as well.
I guess Malcolm really resonated with me, just to realize that his story lined up exactly with mine. Knowing that he's been in the same situations that I've been in at a young age, going from city to city, been involved around pimps, prostitutes, things of that nature. I just found that, he wasn't some poster boy that we always looked at when we was in school. Just, being in certain situations, seeing his face, it was just more to him than that. He taught me real authentic manhood. He gave me moral principles, things of that nature. He just represented that authentic, authoritative figure in my life. Not to take anything away from my dad, because he was there. He was very hands-on. But when it came to guiding principles or shifting my vision when it came to a world perspective or just a community perspective, it was just my guy. If anything I say that can catch anybody's attention, I always, I give it to the ancestors whose shoulder I stand on, because my wisdom flow from there. So, yeah.
Definitely. So when did you actually come in alignment with Malcolm, man? Let's dive into that a little more.
I actually came in alignment with Malcolm when I was about 21. At that time, I've probably been incarcerated probably about 4 years at that time. Actually, I was on lockup, and a lot of times when you incarcerated, I'm not, most black men go through these situations. We find ourselves in a cell where you got so much time on your hands, it kind of force you to deal with yourself. So, and then most of the time you have nothing to do but play chess and oftentimes read. It's a library card that come around when you want to isolate the situation. I remember a guy come around with the library card, and the book that I chose was just probably some murder suspense or something that, just something that we used to, something we're familiar with. But the book he chose for me was the autobiography on Malcolm X by Alex Haley. And, that was the first time I actually got introduced to the real Malcolm X, not the poster boy Malcolm X or what they portrayed him to be in the media outlets. From that point on, it sent me on a fact-finding mission, just to realize that he was just like you and I, went through the same situations, probably a little more rougher because of those days and times, but just to realize he done been incarcerated, and just to know that his intellectual capability came from his intense studies from being in prison. That was like, wow, I never knew that black men can go to prison and actually make it to university. That was like, that kind of like did it to me. I wanted to be just like that. That was me, that kind of me.
For sure, bro. Man, it's crazy. After we chopped it up the other day, man, you had me pretty much go tap back into the book, because I had, I read it in its entirety, but there were pieces of it that I couldn't remember, and I wanted to make sure that I was on point for the call. But just like you were saying, bro, Malcolm was no different from any of us. Probably had it worse than a lot of us, right? Where, he was around the pimps, the prostitutes, he was robbing and stealing, he was, doing drugs, he was doing all these other things. But Malcolm got locked up. He was in that situation, and just like you, he started to read, because Malcolm X would tell anybody if he was alive today that he didn't get any degree from any university. His degree came from studying and while he was incarcerated. So, first and foremost, I want to ask you, like, what led up to, you ended up being in that situation, being incarcerated, and what did you learn from that?
What actually led up to it, I always say, it's just blind loyalty. We come up under this preconceived notion that you gotta have homies or your partners, back, regardless of the situations they find themselves in. Then you find yourself obligated to someone else's situation. That was my story. It was never a situation where I created for myself, because I was going to school, I was doing these things at that age, but I was still getting off the school bus like most of our inner city kids. still going to the hood, doing the things that we do in the neighborhood, right? So my situation just, was just out of blind loyalty, knowing where it could have landed me, but still making that decision just off the strength that was, like family. So, that kind of is what brought me to that situation.
Right. And you said you were how old when you first got incarcerated? Tell us from that, because I know that's something I hear often, man. Really, just being robbed of that youth, man. So I really want you to dive into that a little bit more for it.
So it starts before the incarceration. The 20-year sentence started at 17, but it was trial and error before then. My first time incarceration was at the age of 13. And then again at 14, then again at 15, and then that final time at 17. So it was like I always say that group homes and juvenile facilities prepare us for prison. It's just the initiation process if you actually think about it, because once you go to a juvenile facility, it's just like prison, you're just older now. That's it. It's just more violence, more aggression, but the setup doesn't change, So, it's things that led up to that before I actually caught that 20-year sentence at 17. So
Definitely. So how did that impact you? Just being, again, you said you got incarcerated at 17. How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
Say that again.
How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
36 now. I'm all the way to chapter 37.
Okay. So how did that impact you, man? Really just being a young jubilant teen, you know what I'm saying? To now, right? I feel like there was a specific portion or gap that was missed out on, man. Just chime in on that a little bit.
There's a huge gap. I still struggle with that now. You know what I'm saying? I still struggle with the fact that I lost so much time, and then coming home 2 years ago, and as a 36, 37-year-old man, I haven't been exposed to certain experiences. I'm not upset that I went through that, because I gained so much in the process. But, things like having a brain freeze, part of my thought. Rephrase question, bro.
So I just want to know what obviously there was some form of gap, right? From being 17 to where you are now. And the system had a lot to do with that. So my question for you is, how has it impacted you just mentally being a grown man now, right? Okay. What are some different components that come with that?
Okay, I got your question now. Now it's I found purpose in that journey. I guess if that's the question you asked, like, well, how did it impact? I found purpose in the journey. One thing that I did do is sat down and got a chance to figure out who I was, what I was, and what was my why. What can I do from this situation now that it is what it is, and how can I prepare myself for the time when I got out like I am now? So, just me being able to be a part of Roots and being able to actually be impactful or come up with ideas and joint effort to get into the community and actually be impactful. Like, it's just that whole phase from 17 to 34 was I was very studious, just took trial and errors. I never ran into nobody that looked like me that had like scholarship intellect. You know what I'm saying? And when I ran into those brothers, I just wanted to be just like them. It's just a journey. It's just things that I had to do in the process. I lost myself. Just had to stay disciplined through the process. Just pick up things, continuously read, study, be active, engage in everything that I had to do just to put me in a better position now. That's, pretty much led up to, that gap. If I try to wrap it up.
No, that's dope, bro, man. Kudos to you. You mentioned, like, being in solitude, you had to kind of face yourself and truly get to know who you were as an individual. And you also spoke about your why. Tell the listeners a little bit about that. Like, what is your why? What are you most passionate about? And what drives you to get up every morning?
My why is actually finding, I don't want no other child that look like me to actually fall into the system. The fact of the matter, it's going to happen, but it's like, what can I create, or what can I contribute to this struggle that we find ourselves in? Because we're in a system of mass incarceration. That's just the system that was set up after slavery. Is the fact of the matter is the statistics say you got 3 Black boys out of 5 that's going to end up with some type of conviction on their record. So my mission is to bring awareness to these systems that's actually unforeseen in the physical, because you can't, you know, that's one thing that's hard about fighting what we're going through, because oftentimes we can't see it. And how can you fight something that we can't directly identify with? So it's like, you know, my mindset now is to how can I be more informational about these systems that's out here that's set up just for me, you, and everybody else that look like us. I don't like to say systems of oppression because, you know, it's kind of sensitive, but I say systems of stagnation. You know what I'm saying? Because that first, like I said, that first conviction, that's the beginning stages of disenfranchisement, and they get us young, very young. So, you know, that's the mission now, is to save or impact as many young lives as possible so they won't find themselves in a downhill spiral and not being forced to come from the back end like I am. I'm just now being able to find myself out here in society. You know, you go through that trial and error all that time, and you create who you are back there in prison. Then you get out here and realize that's not who you are. You got to start all over again. It's a whole nother mission. But how can I, you know, keep them same founding principles that I discovered intact just being out here? So it's just a lot going, being able, trying to juggle and just act like assert myself in certain situations I find myself in.
Definitely. And working with the youth and having that background and that experience, right? I know oftentimes youth in which we deal with, right? Everybody want to be hard. Everybody want to be the hardest one, right? How does that give you another perspective to talk to them, right? To really shed that light to say, listen, this isn't really the route.
First of all, yeah, for some reason I love kids that got that disposition, that hard body. Like, you know, ain't nobody telling me nothing, chest out, beating on my chest type of attitude, right? Because, you know, I ain't gonna say I came off as that as a child, but I had it in. So these are the kids that I kind of targeted now. Because oftentimes they're misunderstood like I was. They just need they don't know how to express themselves. That's like we have just had this real talk session on channeling emotions. And a lot of times these 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, some even adults can't even channel, like compartmentalize their emotions and then be able to redirect that into something that's going to be productive or that's going to put them in a position to grow from it or however they feeling. So my objective is, now I play hard body role with them. That's a good method that I got. If I get them hard body little dudes, they be bigger than me, but you know, I'm hard. I go hard body too. You know what I'm saying? But oftentimes in our community, we respect aggression, and it's crazy for some reason. When you know we are already aggression, and then when you're older and you trying to meet aggression with aggression quietly, I found it that it's very like balancing. Like they respect aggression, and that's, you know, it is sad. It's like a passive aggressive approach, if I can say that. It's not totally aggressive from my end. Mine is more like a passive aggression, especially if they're aggressive. They tend to kind of respect that because, you know, you just got to be authentic. It's you know, it's a method to this, trying to penetrate these children because they going through the most, man. You can't not. A lot of these don't have fathers. A majority of them don't have fathers, and sometimes they don't even have mothers. You know, they fending for themselves. It's so much that's going on in their young minds, so we can't expect them to know how to respond to all these systems that's in place that's meant to keep them feeling how they feeling now. They daddy might be our daddy might be 56. He angry, he mad, he frustrated. I'm 36. I'm mad, I'm frustrated. You 26, he's 16. Just a trickle effect. Everybody mad, everybody frustrated. So it's like, when we just got to come up with working ideas and methods to actually cope with what we dealing with. Because we still got a journey, man. It's a struggle. It's protracted. We got somewhere we trying to go. You know what I'm saying? Just because little bro mad and upset don't mean I don't need him. I just got to figure out a way to drop that disposition he got, that guard he got, and let them know that you are powerful and we need you. So it's all about just figuring it out. It ain't about the personality of the struggle. You know, all the time we get caught up in the personality of a person and not realize it's not even about the personality. We got one aim, one objective, one heart, one destiny, one goal. So you just try to stay creative in the process.
No, that's real, bro. A couple of things you said, it hit home because like the work that we do in the communities that we do the work in, like there are a lot of at-risk and high-risk youth. So youth that are potentially like have the potential to get locked up or are not far removed from being locked up or involved in things that could lead to them getting locked up, or maybe they have some credit deficiencies in school. They're at alternative schools. And so a lot of them, like you said, may not have fathers at home, sometimes may not have mothers, but for those that do have the mothers in the household, they are channeling a lot of this feminine energy. And so like they need a man to kind of come in and be hard body with them, because that's the only thing that they'll respect, simply because they're not used to that. And when they get that kind of energy from somebody, and especially when it's from somebody that looks like them, that can truly relate to them, man, it's unmatched, bro. Like the impact that you can truly have with a kid. Because I experience that all the time with some of the kids that I work with, and they just like, man, you don't understand me. Like, you don't know what I've gone through. You don't know what I've been through. And I'm like, no, like, I might look all good to you today, all dressed up nice today. But I'm like, but we went through some stuff. And if I made it to the other side of this, I'm pretty sure that you can't. So I love the fact that you use your experience to educate the youth, but also you're giving them a perspective that what it looks like on the other side. Because like we said, a lot of folks want to be hard body, but everybody want to be gangster till they meet a gangster. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Right.
Man, we actually had a situation of that, James. And Casey, I know you know exactly what I'm referring, bro. At the field day, we had this young buck. Well, I think he was about 16. We were doing flag football. He's a little bit older than the other kids, man. I'm talking about he out here, Derrick Henry stiff arming, like throwing heads in the ground, like going crazy. But we had to pull bro aside, like, yo, down. And crazy thing is, I ended up connecting with his mother. He ended up being adopted.
Okay.
And the mom told me, watch out for him, like check up on him prior to. But it was like 50 kids out there. I don't know which you know what I'm saying, which one in particular. So in the midst of doing all that, I ended up going and talking to the mom and literally found out it was her. And we just like literally sat down and had a little conversation, man. And to Casey's point, man, he needs that masculine energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he had to be kind of flexed on for it to really hit him. But then at the end, once you flex on him and let him know, but look, bro, I still love you regardless, but we can't get down like that.
Yeah.
He was a reception. It took a while, right? He went away. He came back. He watched in the cut. But again, man, he was really able to retain it. And to Casey's point, some people, you got to be able to hit them with that, man. So that's spot on, Casey. That's beyond spot on. Hey, another point I just wanted to chime in with and get a little bit of your thoughts on. One thing I always really hear you referring to is the Black Panther Party, right? And obviously that kind of goes hand in hand with MLK, but also the Nations of Gods. So I really love for you to kind of just give us a little bit of insight on that and how that attributed to you as well.
The Nation of Gods and Earths. I don't want to disrespect or upset any official member of it, because to become official member of, you have to take that journey to an official school, which they have them spread it out throughout different states throughout the U.S. And you just got to be able to stand on these degrees, the body of lessons that we recite, and be able to expound on them, educate people with them, and then you get a button to wear on your lapel of the coat, which qualify you to actually educate using the curriculum that we was given. But the Nation of Islam, the Nation of Gods and Earth, formerly known as the Five Percenters, it all ties in hand. The lessons, or the man that Malcolm actually became, was actually, built from this same curriculum. So the Nation of God's Earth, we are a nation that work with anybody. We this is a particular degree that we stress. We are here to teach knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to all human families of the planet Earth, because we big on education. We don't understand that education literally means to bring out what's within. You know what I'm saying? We are all dealing with trauma. We all need to be healed. And what is actually healing? The love heals things. And the only way to heal is to get to know yourself, so you can figure out what part of you need to heal. So it's one profound lesson that I stand on. We stand on mathematics, and these mathematics that we. Say that again.
No, I was saying the supreme mathematics. Yeah.
Yeah, supreme mathematics. And with these supreme mathematics, ain't nothing but a numeral system from 0 to 9. There's no number greater than 9. Everything after 9 is just an add-on. So with these numeral systems, is concepts and principles with each one. And then once we learn them, we figure out how to apply it to everything we do. Say, for instance, if like the first body of lessons that I'm talking about now, which is student enrollment, they have the first degree says, who is the original man? That's Wallace Farr Muhammad asking Elijah Muhammad that question. Elijah Muhammad had to go on a fact-finding mission, which is to the Library Book of Congress, to come up with this answer, who is the original man? And he came up with the original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, and God of the universe. This is a recitation. This is not my own research. So what I had to do is go research, do the knowledge, take that knowledge. Knowledge is to know, look, listen, observe, but ultimately respect at the end. So I had to go do the knowledge, look, listening, observing, go on my own journey to figure out who is the original man. It led me to myself. You know what I'm saying? I had to figure out what was original about me, from my genetic DNA to my spirituality to everything about me, that what made me original. What does it mean to civilizer of the planet Earth? It's just a lot of things that came with that. Malcolm X said, I love this quote. He said, the greatest reward for one's research is history. Because when you go on that journey to figure out who you are, you're going to find so many other things that encompass that, because there's no culture or tradition that don't inhabit the Black man or the Black woman. So you're going to find so much other stuff just researching who you are, where you come from, not just from my 36 years, because trauma is passed on. History is passed on through your DNA. All these things is passed on. So you got to go on that mission, man. Put in some work to figure out what is going on with I, and you'll come up with some things.
That's powerful, bro. That's powerful. So what, like, if you could give us a little insight into the supreme mathematics, what is like because you said it was like 1 through 9 and there's no number higher than 9. Like, if you don't mind, give us a little insight into that.
Okay, like the first degree in the supreme mathematics is knowledge. That's 1. You have 1, but that 1 represents knowledge. And they give actual breakdown, like what is knowledge? Knowledge is to know by looking, listening, observing, and also respecting. It's like 5 power points, because we always say knowledge is power, but I always say knowledge isn't power. The utilization is knowledge is power. You feel what I'm saying? That's key. The utilization is, if you can break down power, you look at the stars. It got 5 points on the star. You look at the words in power. It's 5 words. This 5 is kind of more like, more profound than most people, stand on. But to get back to the first degree, like if I'm saying that I want to study this, if it's a particular subject or object or thing I do not know about, I have to apply that first principle, which is knowledge. Knowledge is to what? What is knowledge? To know by what? Looking, listening, observing, analyzing, all these things, why, when, who, where, until you come up with the information that you're looking for, apply reason to it. Whether you agree with it or not, ultimately respect it and then move on. But the second one would be wisdom. It's these numbers, the numeral system is the same things that we use every day. We just put concepts around it so we can be more intentional about what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like knowledge relates to you and I. Just like we say, knowledge is the foundation of everything in existence. Like before it is in the physical, is first perceived in the mind. It's the thought must first be perceived in the mind before it is made manifested in the physical, right? So we say that knowledge is the foundation of everything in existence, no matter what it is. Knowledge is the foundation of everything in existence. So is the Black man. The Black man is the foundation of all human families' existence. You see the commonality in it, the symbolism in it. Same thing like the sun. The sun is the foundation of the solar system. The Black man and the sun and knowledge have 3 things that's in common. You feel what I'm saying? We are the foundation that our women and children stand on. The sun is the foundation from which the other planets project, and then things of that nature, so on and so forth. We just got to find that commonality within nature, the universe, and ourselves. And mathematics is what helped me do that. Supreme mathematics, just applying them in everything that I do. Slow down. And I get it wrong at times because it's human error, but just striving to be more intentional about the things that I learned with these principles and concepts, and how can I incorporate it in my life every day.
Man, you definitely have a story, man. And one thing that very, very much captured me is realizing like you're very much in the midst of your journey, right? And as I tell James all the time, man, just really realizing that I'm in the midst of the trenches is very it's awesome to see you just be as reflective as you have been, man. One thing I really picked up on is the very militant vibe, right? I think oftentimes it's perceived as a negative energy, but you have a phenomenal spin that comes with it, man. I think again, just seeing you work with the youth, being able to really impart to them, it has been very impactful for me just to see from another Black man standpoint. So definitely just want to give you your flowers in regard to that. But my next question is, what are you really striving to at this point in time, man? Like just from a life goal perspective, you have a lot of knowledge, you have a lot of insight. What's one specific goal in which you're just consistently working to at this point in time and putting a lot of those principles and mindsets into at this moment?
Honestly, first and foremost, I'm working on myself. If I can be honest with you guys in the audience, I struggle with a lot of things. That's why we say mental health is real. So I strive to realize that I just recently 2 years out from a 18-year situation. You know what I'm saying? So you don't just get readjusted within a 24-month time span, right? Because it's a lot of firsthand experiences. So outside of me just making sure I got my emotional intelligence intact, my spirituality intact, my things that I need to maintain out here in this pressure, because this pressure out here it's a whole different pressure out here versus being out there because the responsibilities as a man. But objectively going forward, I'm striving to build my platform. Right now, I go to the gym a lot, so I'm striving to do personal training, striving to launch this podcast. I got a whole lot of ideas for podcasting. I want to get better at speaking. I want to do, it's a few things I got going, just ideas. It's just taking the time and actually getting it done, So that's pretty much it as far as what I got going on right now, other than just getting more hands-on experience with Roots and everything they got to offer.
Now, that was a perfect segue, because I really want to know, like, how did you get involved in Roots? Like, how did you and Marcus connect? What did he reach out to you? Did you just see what he was doing in the community? Like, how did that relationship form?
Actually, it formed from my fiance. She have a nephew who is, I think, a frat brother of his, and she connected me with her nephew, which is a phenomenal brother who is doing great things himself, and which led me to Marcus. And then, me and Marcus kind of collaborated from there, and we just took all the kudos and shout out to Roots, man, because if it wasn't for Roots, I wouldn't be doing none of the things that I got going on now, because I'm not from the city that we're in now. And just me being able to stand in the midst of the trenches, it took everything in me, because I was like I was dying in the inside, because I felt like I wasn't getting to the things that I wanted to do, because I didn't know nobody. I was just coming out of prison. I didn't have the network, the resources, the contacts that I needed to actually put a family on my back. I had a child on the way with just so much going on. But I ran into, Marcus via the fiance, her nephew. So it's just been, on from there.
Man, but you really mentioned something, and honestly, man, it's been an honor to work and collaborate with you. But I think, to your point, there's so many people who get out of incarceration, have a burning passion, but mentally they're not in a position to just go out there and be open to society, right? So I know this is a very prevalent, this consistent issue that people probably have. Luckily, you were able to have some people in your network to really lean in and tap into, right? But I want to ask you, what has your new network, in which you kind of find yourself being surrounded around, really done for you in developing and blossoming you and getting a little bit more acclimated to society?
Oh man! First of all, I use my certain pieces in my network for my therapy. My therapy is going amazing, because I couldn't do it without certain brothers in my corner to help me get through trials and tribulations. Just actually getting out here, trying to reactivate myself as a man. But just the network now, man, I'm striving to find out what can I actually do with my network, because I have amazing, beautiful brothers, creative brothers on a mission, getting things done every day, all day. But my mindset is, how can I actually actualize my networking resources? You know what I'm saying? So, but it's just, the brothers that I've been working with lately, like I said, I've come from a space where I didn't see these type of brothers. So every time I get amongst brothers like y'all, it's like I get that energy. Like, yeah, it's like how I get. I'm excited. I get real excited, real passionate, because we moving in unison. Like I said, when you see multiple brothers that's a part of multiple organizations that got their own thing doing, and as you see black faces, oh my God, man, it's that unity is what we missing. Unity heals things, man. Unity breeds love. Unity, breeds loyalty. Unity, you know what I'm saying? So we can get a lot of things when everything tied together. So, you know what I mean? So, yes, just trying to get more actualize my network and resources now. I got it now, and it's more to come, but more so, I'm coming from the back end. Like I said, I'm still getting familiar with technology. I'm still getting familiar with so much stuff. It's like, I got to relearn these things all over again, or just learn it all over again.
Man, that's dope, man. And I think you on the perfect, like, you on the right path, bro, just simply because, like, you are a servant at heart. Like, it seems like the things that you do in the community, the things that you even, do with your, the network of guys that you working with. Cause you even just said like, man, they're your therapy. We literally just dedicated a whole episode to like the mastermind and being able to go into these rooms or go into these meetings and be recharged by a mastermind, because we understand like, bro, like without the collective, like we really can't move the needle forward the way that we need to. But in what you were just saying, you even talked about a bit of trauma. And I know when we talked offline, you talked about a little bit of your upbringing and how you dealt with like moving around a lot. Like share a little bit of that, because I think I still want the listeners to really get a little bit of insight of like why you do the things that you do today. And it didn't just happen by chance. Like this was divine time and a divine effort working in your favor. So talk a little bit about your childhood and like what led you to doing the work that you do right now.
Okay, yeah, definitely. My childhood, was very unstable. Like, like we wasn't a military family. Like we didn't travel like because I had parents in the military. I just had the freedom to roam from state to state because I had a parent that was in one state and another parent that was in another state. So and then I was from a whole another state. So it was like I got real familiar with 3 to 4 to 5 different states at a real early age, and just not having no stability, man, you'll lose focus. Like any child need discipline, structure, and a little bit controlled or somebody to oversee to make sure they are manifesting what they need to do as our babies. But not to take away from things from my parents, but you know how we get. I was hard headed. I was one of, I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and when certain parents wasn't going for it, they laying a law down, or we would call ourselves leaving or running away, or just wasn't coming back, so we can do what we wanted to do. But with that, the instability just threw me off because I found myself out there striving to survive, put myself in situations I didn't even have to be in because I had a mom and a dad. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to do a lot of the things that I found myself in. It was just that, I wanted to do what I wanted to do at a certain age. And as parents, like they just wasn't going for it. And I had a mom that was from South Carolina that moved to North Carolina. And when she wasn't going for it, I slide and go to Maryland, hop on the Greyhound, 13, 14 years ago, get an adult to give me a ticket and just go to Maryland, pop up, call them at a payphone, like, Pops, come pick me up and I'm at the DC at Union train station. He like, what? And that continued. And that's why I think it eventually landed me incarcerated in multiple different states at a juvenile. North Carolina, Cumberland County right here, Maryland juvenile detention centers, and then on here to South Carolina, just not having that discipline, that structure. And I crave that now. That's why I'm family oriented now. I do everything for my family. I'm striving to patch anything together that I can to make sure my family is intact because I didn't have it. I love structure because I didn't have it. And I know what structure gave me. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be real. Like, any child that's raised without structure gonna be, they just gonna be running wild. You know what I mean? You don't want an unstructured child because they become unstructured adults. You know what I'm saying? So,
Facts.
Hey, that's good, my boy. That's good. I'm sitting here just thinking, like, man, I remember I had a little phase where I just thought I could do whatever I wanted, man. And literally, if it wasn't for my dad to like jerk me up and sit me down, like, nah, like it ain't going like that, it would be a whole different scene, bro. So like, I believe me, that really resonated and hit home with me, man. That stability, that discipline, and again, really just seeing a tangible example too, bro. Not just somebody talking at you, but you see how they moving and they living, right? And I know James and I, when we really connect, we had that grandfather. You know what I'm saying? We had that predominant black male figure that was like, worst case scenario, we never want to piss them off. You know what I'm saying? We never want to let them down. Like, so again, man, we have that to contribute to. And that makes a lot of sense why that's your why. And you are that example. And again, man, kudos to you for that. Now, one component you really mentioned is having the young buck as well, man. Having the young seed, and you got a young king, man. That's huge. So, what type of elements are you really focused on in developing him as a young king, knowing you've seen all the trials and tribulations you have?
Key, I got a young king. His name is Solar. That was really intentional about naming him. We didn't just want to give him any name. We want to give him an attribute to live out and manifest in the best way possible. Not from our definition, but from his definition, his understanding, as long as it's right and exact. But these things that we got to work from the beginning. I just want to be able to initially make sure he control his emotions, man. Like from the root, I need him to understand that from the beginning. And that takes me understanding minds because he's seeing and hear everything that I do. You know what I'm saying? I ain't perfect. I done got it wrong in front of him a few times already, but I'm more conscious and intentional now about napping any type of tension that may come from my family household, like may come from family, just being intentional about disciplining myself, checking my emotion, compartmentalizing and refiltering out in a way where that it can be conducive to whoever I'm speaking to, or it can be received to whoever I'm speaking to. But I just want to make sure that, you know, he's loved on, nourished the proper way, and he has his emotions intact before he leave this household at 5, 6 years old. You know what I'm saying? Because if he don't have that emotion in check and don't know how to articulate himself in a proper way, then, you know, things can go terribly left. So that's my primary focus right now, just making sure I'm here every single day with a visual, or like being the example. Like, you know, I'm priding myself on that. My father, a father of 8, and he and everybody like, and I gotta say that because that's a black man. You know, so he and everybody like, so yeah.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love your story, man. I think all three of us can agree that stability and discipline is super important. I kind of share a similar background where I moved about 14 times before I was in the 5th grade. Um, and that's when, you know, Marcus, we talked about this offline. That's when I ran away and moved in with my paternal grandmother's husband. And that's what changed my life after he provided certain, you know, stability for me. So I truly understand like what it's like to like have the freedom to make it the decision that you would like to at a very early age, and not really feel the pressure of like getting it right or getting it wrong, just really just living life. And sometimes you make mistakes in that, man. But man, it's been a pleasure, you know, having this conversation with you, because it's even given me like, I don't have any kids yet, but it just has me thinking like, man, when that time comes, I got to be very intentional about the example that I set, because, you know, as a man, you spoke on it several times, like managing your emotions and controlling your emotions and controlling your thoughts is super important, because that is how you get to the next level. That is how you lead by example. That is how you become the man that you want to manifest. So kudos to you, brother Casey, man. I appreciate
you. I appreciate you guys.
And man, thank you for sharing the story. And family, again, man, to James' point, hey, Casey, man, there's a lot of different content. There was a lot of different insights shared here, man. I think we could all really take going forward. And just knowing that at the end of the day, man, the discipline and generally being able to pass it on, regardless of what trials and tribulations you went through, how can you make it better for the next generation? And Casey is definitely a testimony of that, man. So thank y'all as always, family. Y'all know what it's always about. Casey, where can they find you? Right, I know we're gonna have the captions at the end, but like, tell us a little bit, man. How can they tap in with you?
You can find me on social media platform, Facebook, Casey Intel the Builder More, and the Instagram is Intel the Builder, Intel_the Builder.
Intel the Builder. That's where you can find them, man. Well, again, family, thank y'all as always. The goal is always to take note, but most of all, it's always to let's grow together. You see the pun? You see how we did that? Yeah. But family, until next time, we appreciate y'all. From me and James, much love. Y'all be blessed. Thank you, family.